Hi everyone, welcome to 6 Minutes of Witchcraft with me, Laura Tempest Zakroff. Today, well, first let me set my timer. We have a viewer question, and that question comes from Raven. They said, how does one deal with imposter syndrome? Sometimes I just don't feel like I'm a real witch. A great question. Thank you, Raven. I think it's something that a lot of folks deal with. I know this was a huge topic at the Witches Sabbath back in November as we were dealing with creativity and artistry, and it's also something that artists deal with a lot, so it's natural that witches deal with it. A whole bunch of folks, academia, sports, all of these different things. So first, let me define for you quickly what imposter syndrome is. And it's typically the feeling that you believe that you're just not as competent or as excellent as other people perceive you to be, that any moment you're going to be found out as a phony or a fake, an imposter, right? Despite years of practice, education, like the proof is in the pudding. It's like it's there, but you still have this worry in the back of your brain that says you're not good enough, you're not real, you're not achieving as much. So it's a real psychological issue. So in witchcraft, right, how do you deal with it? And so I'm going to give you some points to consider. Number one is stop comparing yourself to other witches. Right? Your path is your path, and what that looks like, what that feels like, is different from person to person. And you know, there's the saying that comparison is the thief of joy, which is true, because you can look and see what people have posted on Instagram or Tumblr or TikTok or whatever social media you see and be like, oh, I'm supposed to have that? It's supposed to look like that? Yeah, it does for that person, not necessarily for you. You don't have to have those things, those images, say those words, have that background in order to be competent at what you do, which is a little different than saying, like, if you read one book on some specialty thing, that does not make you an expert. So like there, if you're feeling like, I don't know enough, you don't. You don't. So keep in mind, context is important. But if you've been doing this for a while, right, you've built up a practice and you feel good about your practice, then allow yourself to stop comparing. And competition within witchcraft is just stupid. It's just fucking stupid. Because there is no reason to have competition. I'd rather have collaboration. I'd rather be like, hey, that's cool. Let's work together. Like, I like what you're doing. You like what I'm doing? All right, let's talk about this. Let's build. Let's be creative. And that's my personality and all the things that I do. And I find that that helps kind of build and bolster your sense of confidence and self-evaluation. It's really the only person you can compare yourself to is yourself, to your former self, and your own goals. The next thing is to be realistic about your goals and what it is that you want to accomplish. Things take time. Things go really fast too. So it's like I look at it and going, oh my gosh, it's been nearly 3 decades of doing this. Holy shit, how did that happen? And yet still have those moments like, do I know? Also understand, the third point is it's good to be sometimes a little unsure, kind of question your sense of self and ability, especially when it's coming to being of service to other people. As someone who's done professional reading, even when I'm doing custom work for other people, there's always that little bit, is it good enough? Not to a crippling sense, but enough of, am I going to do a good job for this person? And I think that is a bit healthy because it stops you from being like, I know all the things. Like, if you can't say, I don't know, if you can't say to yourself, sometimes I don't know all the things, I need to learn a new perspective, have my basis or the foundation shifted a little bit. Like, that's a good thing, which is different than being a fraud, right? You're going to be wrong about something at some point. I am wrong about lots of things at lots of different points. And hopefully I adjust, self-correct, learn more. That's part of the growth cycle. That is different than being like, I don't know anything. Because there are multiple points to perceive about that. But going back to like when I'm reading for someone, a little bit of anxiety allows me to focus more on them and their needs than necessarily like where I am in the equation, which should be I am being of service to them, I'm helping them out. So that little bit. I always kind of feel that too with teaching, like, do folks already know this stuff? And again, folks don't, and get the feedback. They're like, oh, I didn't know, or I didn't see it that way. So there are so many different perspectives. And you can't judge by the opinions on the internet. So when I get feedback, when I need to get critique from somebody about my work, I go to the folks I trust. I go to my mentors. I go to people I know who have basically the bullshit detector, and for them to say, I don't know if that's right, or you should check that. Those are the folks I value their opinions, I trust them, and I know that they're going to give me honest feedback. Throwing things out to the internet at large, you're going to get everybody's opinion. And remember, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. And not all of them are valid. Not all of them come from a good place that's trying to be helpful and give you feedback. A lot of people have issues. Yes. And aren't really being kind or compassionate in their responses, or are really dealing with their own shit, their own imposter syndrome, and their way of dealing with it is to be an asshole to somebody else, which is not cool. So, not a way to deal with your imposter syndrome. Don't be an asshole to other people. So, we'll sum it up in the 6 minutes here. Don't compare yourself to others. Be realistic about where you are in your path. Always accept room for growth. And seek the opinions from those that you trust when you do have those moments where you want to check and see where you're at. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have other questions or thoughts or other topics you'd like me to cover, leave them in the comments. And I'll, of course, always be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much. Bye.